Under the scorching heat behind a shopping center, Leo, a poor boy trying to gather enough bottles to buy heart medication for his grandmother, suddenly discovered a woman slumped over the steering wheel, her face flushed red, nearly unconscious inside a locked Mercedes. Panic drove him to quickly call 911 and beg for help from those around, but he only received indifference. With no other choice, he grabbed a nearby iron bar, smashed the window, and pulled the woman out, only to be arrested moments later. He had no idea that this brave act would change the fate of both their lives in a way no one could have ever imagined. Before we go back, let us know where you're watching from, and subscribe, because tomorrow I've got something extra special for you. The parking lot behind Oakwood Shopping Center was empty, dead empty, the kind of empty that made the heat feel even worse. Leo wiped his forehead with the back of his hand. Sweat immediately replaced what he'd just cleared away. His old t-shirt clung to his back like a second skin soaked through. It was noon, and the sun wasn't just hot, it was angry. 40 degrees Celsius, 104 Fahrenheit. The asphalt shimmered like it was melting. He dug deeper into the recycling bin, his fingers closing around an aluminum can. Another one. He dropped it into his backpack where it clinked against the others. His hands were shaking a little as he pulled out the crumpled bills from his pocket and counted them again. $23. He smoothed each one out carefully like that would somehow make more appear. Come on, he muttered to himself. Just 15 more. $15. That's all he needed to buy his grandmother's heart medication. The doctor had been clear this morning when Grandma coughed up blood into her handkerchief. She'd tried to hide it, but Leo saw. He always saw. You need to take the medication before 3 o'clock. The doctor had said, his voice firm. No exceptions, Leo. Her heart can't take another episode without it. Leo glanced at his phone. 12:15 p.m. He had time. He just needed $15 more. He moved to the next bin, scanning the area. That's when he noticed the car, a black Mercedes parked at an odd angle near the back fence. The engine was off. Strange. Nobody parked back here, not in this heat, not with all the shaded spots up front. Leo's first thought was practical. Rich people were careless. Maybe they'd left a water bottle, some cans, something he could recycle. He shouldered his backpack and walked closer, the heat radiating up from the asphalt and making his sneakers feel like they were walking on coals. As he approached, he saw someone inside, a woman. She was slumped over the steering wheel, her head tilted at an uncomfortable angle. Her blazer looked expensive, navy blue, perfectly tailored. Her hair had been pulled into a neat bun, but strands had come loose and stuck to her neck. In her arms pressed against her chest, she clutched a stuffed bear. It was old, the pink fabric faded to almost white in some places. Leo stopped. Something wasn't right. On the passenger seat sat a small birthday cake. Chocolate with white frosting that was now melting in the heat pooling around the base. He could just make out the words written in blue icing, "Happy Birthday, Lily." The letters were starting to blur and run together. "Hey," Leo called out, knocking on the window. "Ma'am, you okay?" No response. He knocked harder. "Ma'am, can you hear me?" Nothing. Not even a twitch. Leo pressed his face closer to the glass, cupping his hands around his eyes to see better. The woman's skin was flushed, deep red, almost purple. Her lips were cracked and dry. He watched her chest carefully. It barely moved. Maybe didn't move at all. He put his palm flat against the car window and jerked it back immediately. The glass was scorching hot, almost too hot to touch. "Oh, God," he whispered. He looked around the parking lot desperately. Empty. Just the sound of cicadas screaming in the trees and the distant hum of traffic from the main road. No people. No help. His mind raced. Was she drunk? He leaned in again, trying to smell through the window seal. No alcohol. And drunk people didn't usually clutch teddy bears and buy birthday cakes for themselves, did they? The cake. That detail bothered him. It sat there, melting this perfect little cake for someone named Lily. While the woman who bought it was dying because she was dying, Leo was suddenly certain of that, in a car that felt like an oven. Nothing about this made sense. He grabbed the door handle and pulled. Locked. All of them locked. "Ma'am, please." He slapped the window with his open palm. "Wake up! You're going to die in there!" The woman's head lolled slightly to one side, but her eyes stayed closed. The teddy bear shifted in her arms. That's when Leo noticed her fingers. They weren't just holding the bear, they were clenching it white-knuckled, like it was the only thing keeping her tethered to the world. Leo's phone was in his hand before he realized he'd reached for it. His fingers fumbled with the screen, leaving sweaty smudges as he dialed. 911, what's your emergency? There's a woman, she's unconscious in her car. The engine's off, and it's so hot, and I think she's dying. The words tumbled out too fast. Okay, slow down. Where are you? Oakwood Shopping Center, the parking lot behind the building. Is she breathing? Leo looked again. I can't tell. Maybe barely. Help is on the way. Stay with her. Don't try to move her. How long? Leo asked, his voice cracking. There was a pause. There's been a major accident on the highway. We're looking at 20 to 30 minutes. 30 minutes. She doesn't have 30 minutes. Sir, I understand, but you don't understand. She's going to die. Please stay calm. The paramedics are coming as fast as they can. Leo hung up. His hands were shaking now, really shaking. He stared at the woman through the glass. Her face was the color of a bad sunburn, but there was no sweat. That was wrong, wasn't it? People sweated when they were hot, unless they couldn't anymore, unless their body had given up. He ran. His backpack bounced against his spine as he sprinted toward the security booth at the entrance of the parking lot. An elderly guard sat inside his chair, tilted back his cap, pulled low over his eyes. Sir, please. Leo pounded on the booth's window. The guard jerked awake, blinking in confusion. What's going on? There's a woman in a car. She needs help right now. The guard stood too slowly, and stepped out of the booth. He followed Leo's pointing finger toward the Mercedes. That car there, the black one. Yes, please, we need to get her out. The guard squinted at the car, then at Leo, taking in the boy's dirty clothes, his backpack full of cans, the desperation in his eyes. His expression changed, became suspicious. You touched that car, son. What? No, I knocked on the window, but that's a $70,000 vehicle. The guard crossed his arms. I touch that car, break anything, I lose my job. You understand, the ambulance can handle it. But she's dying. Then the ambulance better hurry. The guard's voice was flat, final. You stay away from that car, you hear me? I don't need any trouble today. And you, he looked Leo up and down again. You don't need trouble either. Just step back and wait for the professionals. The guard turned and walked back into his booth, sat down, and pulled his cap back over his eyes. Leo stood there, his chest heaving. The sun beat down on his head. He could feel his phone in his pocket, the crumpled bills, the weight of his backpack. Everything felt too heavy. He walked back to the Mercedes, his feet dragging. Through the window, the woman hadn't moved. The teddy bear rose and fell, almost imperceptibly with her shallow breathing. And then, like a punch to the gut, Leo remembered. He was 7 years old again, sitting on the floor of a dark apartment. It was late, he didn't know how late, but it had been dark for a long time. His parents had left that morning. We'll be back soon, his mother had said, but they didn't come back. Not that day. Not ever. He'd sat by the door waiting, hugging his knees to his chest. The apartment got darker, colder. He'd called out a few times, his voice small and scared, hoping someone would hear. No one came. No one cared. It was his grandmother who finally found him the next day, after a neighbor called worried. She'd scooped him up in her arms, and he'd sobbed into her shoulder, the loneliness of that night burning itself into his memory forever. He understood it now, the feeling he'd had back then, the feeling of being abandoned, left behind, waiting for someone who would never come. He looked at the woman in the car. She wasn't waiting for anyone. She'd stopped waiting. She'd given up. And he couldn't let her die alone like that. He couldn't. Leo's eyes scanned the parking lot and landed on a nearby construction site. There, leaning against a pile of concrete blocks, was a metal rod. Rebar, maybe 3 feet long. His heart hammered in his chest as he walked over and picked it up. It was heavier than he expected. He carried it back to the Mercedes, his mind screaming at him that this was crazy, that he'd get in trouble, that he should just wait for the ambulance. But 15 more minutes. 20:30. She didn't have that time. Ma'am, he shouted one last time, slamming his fist against the window. I'm going to break the glass. If you can hear me, cover your face. No response. Just that terrible, suffocating stillness. Leo raised the metal rod. His arms trembled. He'd never broken anything on purpose in his life, never destroyed property, never crossed that line. He thought about his grandmother, about the medication he still needed to buy, about the trouble this would bring. Then he thought about the woman dying behind the glass. He swung. The rod connected with the window, and the glass exploded inward with a sound like a gunshot. Shards flew everywhere, glittering in the sunlight. A wave of heat erupted from inside the car, hitting Leo in the face like opening an oven door. The air was thick, suffocating, unbreathable. He dropped the rod and reached through the broken window, fumbling for the door lock. His fingers found it, pulled it up. The door opened with a heavy click. The heat that poured out made him stagger back. It was worse than he'd imagined. How could anyone survive in that? Leo grabbed the woman under her arms and pulled. She was heavier than she looked, deadweight. That didn't help him at all. He grunted, his sneakers slipping on the asphalt as he dragged her backward out of the car. The teddy bear fell from her arms and landed on the ground between them. He pulled her into the shade of a nearby dumpster, the only shade he could find, and laid her down as gently as he could. Her skin was scorching to the touch, her breathing so shallow he had to put his ear to her mouth to be sure she was still alive. "Lily," she mumbled, her eyes still closed. "Lily, Mommy's coming. I'm coming, baby." Leo's hands shook as he grabbed the water bottle from his backpack. It was half empty, warm, the last water he had. He poured some on his hand and dabbed it on her forehead, her neck trying to cool her down. "You're okay," he whispered, not sure if she could hear him. "You're going to be okay." He heard footsteps, voices. People were coming. A middle-aged man in a polo shirt appeared, first phone already raised, recording. "Oh my God, what happened here?" A woman in a floral dress followed. "That car, it's destroyed." Leo looked up from Clara, his hand still wet from the water bottle. "She was dying in there. I had to—" "You broke into someone's car." The man stepped closer, still filming. "No, I mean yes, but she was unconscious. The heat." More people gathered. A teenager, an elderly couple, all staring. Some recording, none helping. "Should we call the police?" the woman in the floral dress asked. "I already called 911 inches, Leo said quickly. "The ambulance is coming." But the crowd's eyes weren't sympathetic. They looked at his dirt-stained clothes, his backpack stuffed with cans, his scratched hands. Then at the shattered window, the expensive car. "Kid, what were you really doing?" the man asked. Leo's stomach dropped. "I told you, I was saving her." "Right." The man's tone dripped with skepticism. The woman on the ground mumbled again, "Lily." "I'm sorry, baby." Leo gently repositioned her head, trying to keep her airway open like he'd seen in a school health class once. "Please, she needs help. Can someone bring more water?" No one moved. Sirens finally wailed in the distance. Leo felt relief flood through him. Help was coming. Real help. 2 police cars arrived before the ambulance. Officers stepped out, hands on their belts, surveying the scene. A tall officer with graying hair approached first. "All right, everybody, step back. What happened here?" The man with the phone spoke up immediately. "We found this kid next to the car. The windows smashed." "That woman was unconscious." The officer looked at Leo. "Son, you want to tell me what's going on?" Leo stood up, his legs shaky. "I found her in the car. The engine was off, and it was so hot. She wasn't moving. I called 911, but they said 30 minutes, and I knew she'd die. So I broke the window to get her out." The officer's partner, a younger woman, knelt beside Clara, checking her pulse. "She's alive. Barely. Looks like severe heat exhaustion." "I was trying to save her." Leo's voice cracked. The tall officer noticed Leo's backpack. "What's in the bag?" Just cans for recycling." "Open it." Leo's hands fumbled with the zipper. Aluminum cans spilled out, clinking against each other. And the money, his $23 in crumpled bills. The officer picked up one of the bills. "You collect cans?" "Yes, sir. For my grandmother's medication." "Uh-huh." The officer's eyes swept over the broken glass, then back to Leo. "You understand how this looks, right? How it looks." Leo felt panic rising in his chest. "I saved her life. Or you were trying to break into an expensive car and got caught." "What? No. Why would I call 911 if I was stealing?" The woman in the floral dress spoke up. "We saw him next to the car when we got here. He had that metal rod. Because I used it to break the window." Leo turned to her, desperate. "You can see she's dying." The ambulance arrived. Paramedics rushed over with a stretcher and equipment. They worked quickly, checking Clara's vitals, starting an IV, loading her onto the gurney. "Severe heat stroke," one paramedic said. "Core temperature's probably over 105. Another 10 minutes and she'd be dead." Leo looked at the officer. "See, I saved her." But the tall officer was examining the car, the broken glass, the metal rod on the ground. "We still need to sort this out. You're going to have to come down to the station." "The station? But I didn't do anything wrong." "Just for questioning, to get your statement." "But I need to get my grandmother's medication. The pharmacy closes at 5:30 inches." The officer's expression softened slightly, but his voice remained firm. "Son, there's a procedure here. Rich lady's car gets damaged. We need to document everything properly. Protect you as much as her. Protect me." Leo felt tears burning behind his eyes. "I don't need protection. I need to buy medicine." The younger officer approached. "There are cameras in the parking lot. We'll check the footage. If your story checks out, you'll be fine." "If my story checks out," the words felt like a slap. "You think I'm lying?" The paramedics wheeled Clara toward the ambulance. As they passed, her hand slipped from under the blanket still clutching that pink teddy bear. "Wait," Leo called out. The bear, she was holding it. A paramedic grabbed it and tucked it beside Clara on the stretcher. For just a moment, Clara's fingers tightened around it. The tall officer put a hand on Leo's shoulder. Not rough, but not gentle either. "Let's go, son. The sooner we do this, the sooner you can leave." Leo looked at his phone. 1:45 p.m. He had an hour and 45 minutes before the pharmacy closed. Maybe this would be quick. Maybe they'd watch the camera footage and let him go right away. Am I under arrest?" "No, just detained for questioning." They walked him to the police car. Leo had never been in one before. The back seat smelled like disinfectant and something else fear maybe, his own fear. As the car pulled away from the parking lot, Leo watched through the rear window. The ambulance drove off in the opposite direction. The crowd dispersed. The black Mercedes sat alone, its window-shattered glass glittering on the asphalt like diamonds. He thought about his grandmother probably wondering where he was. He thought about the medication she needed. He thought about the woman he'd just saved, holding that teddy bear, calling for someone named Lily. And he thought about how doing the right thing had somehow landed him in the back of a police car. The police station was cold. Too cold after the blazing heat outside. Leo sat in an interview room, his wet shirt now clammy against his skin. The walls were beige. A camera blinked red in the corner. A metal table separated him from the empty chair across. He checked his phone. 2:00 p.m. The door opened. The tall officer came in with a notepad and a styrofoam cup of water. "Drink," he said, sliding the cup across. Leo's hands shook as he picked it up. The water was lukewarm, but he gulped it down anyway. "I'm Officer Martinez. You're Leo Thompson, correct?" "Yes, sir." 17 years old. Live at 412 Maple Street with your grandmother, Alice Thompson." "Yes." Martinez sat down, clicked his pen. "Tell me exactly what happened today, from the beginning." Leo explained everything. The recycling bins, needing money for medicine, seeing the car, the woman inside, the call to 911, the security guard who refused to help, breaking the window. Martinez wrote it all down, his expression neutral. "The security guard can confirm your story." "I guess. He told me not to touch the car." "So you broke the window anyway?" "Because she was dying." Leo's voice rose. "What was I supposed to do? Wait for her to die while I followed the rules?" Martinez looked up from his notepad. His eyes weren't unkind, just tired. "I understand, son, but you damaged private property, expensive private property, to save a life. I know, and the camera footage will back you up. But we still have to process this. The car's owner will need to be contacted. There's paperwork." "How long will that take?" Martinez glanced at the clock on the wall. "Couple hours, maybe." "Couple hours." Leo stood up. "No, I need to leave now. My grandmother." "Sit down, Leo. You don't understand. She needs medication by 3 o'clock, or she could have another heart attack. I understand it's urgent, but if you leave now before we clear this up, it becomes a whole different situation. You want to be charged with vandalism, maybe attempted theft. I wasn't stealing. I believe you, but I need the evidence to prove it. So sit tight. Let me do my job, and you'll be out of here soon." Soon. That word felt like a lie. Leo sat back down. His leg bounced under the table. He watched the clock. 2:15, 2:30, 2:45. Martinez left and came back. "Good news. Camera footage confirms everything you said. You're free to go." Leo jumped up. "Really? Really? You did a brave thing today, kid. Stupid maybe, but brave." Leo didn't wait for more. He grabbed his backpack and ran, through the station, out the doors, into the afternoon heat that felt like stepping into a furnace. He checked his phone. 3:10 p.m. His heart sank. He ran anyway. 4 blocks to the pharmacy. His lungs burned. Sweat poured down his face. His sneakers slapped against the pavement. The pharmacy came into view. He could see the lights still on inside. Then he saw the employee at the door pulling down the security gate. "Wait!" Leo screamed. "Please wait!" He sprinted the last 50 yards. The gate was halfway down. "Please, I need medicine for my grandmother." The employee, a young guy with glasses, shook his head. "Sorry, man. We closed at 5:30. It's 5:45. "Please, it's for her heart. The doctor said before 3, but I got held up and I can't. The registers are closed. Systems shut down." The guy actually looked apologetic. "Come back tomorrow at 9. Tomorrow. Leo felt the world tilting. She needs it today. She could die. "I'm really sorry." The gate clicked into place. The employee locked it and walked away into the pharmacy's interior, not looking back. Leo stood there staring at the closed gate. His reflection stared back at him in the glass door. 17 years old, alone, failed. He pulled out his phone with shaking hands and called his grandmother's neighbor, Mrs. Chen. "Mrs. Chen, it's Leo. Can you check on my grandma? I'm on my way home, but..." "Oh, Leo." Mrs. Chen's voice was thick with concern. "The ambulance took her about an hour ago. I tried calling you." The phone nearly slipped from his hand. "What?" "She had chest pains, bad ones. I called 911. They took her to Mercy Hospital." Leo was already running. Mercy Hospital smelled like antiseptic and fear. Leo burst through the emergency room doors, his shirt soaked through with sweat, his lungs screaming. "Alice Thompson," he gasped at the reception desk. "She came in with chest pains. I'm her grandson." The nurse typed on her computer, "ICU, 3rd floor." But visiting hours. Leo didn't hear the rest. He found the stairs and took them 2 at a time. The ICU was quiet. Too quiet. Machines beeped softly. Nurses moved like ghosts between rooms. "I'm looking for Alice Thompson," Leo said to a nurse at the station. She checked her chart. Her expression shifted that look healthcare workers got when the news wasn't good. "Are you family?" "Her grandson. I'm all she has." "Room 304. I should tell you, she had a heart attack. A serious one. We stabilized her, but she's in a medically induced coma right now." The words hit Leo like physical blows. Heart attack. Coma. "Can I see her?" "Through the window. She can't have visitors in the room yet." Leo walked to room 304 on legs that didn't feel like his own. Through the glass window, he saw her. His grandmother. The woman who'd raised him after his parents abandoned him. The woman who split her last piece of bread with him when money was tight. The woman who told him bedtime stories even when she was exhausted from working double shifts. She lay in the hospital bed impossibly small. Tubes ran from her arms. Wires connected her to machines that beeped and hummed. Her face was pale, her breathing assisted by a ventilator. Leo pressed his forehead against the glass. The coolness felt good against his skin, but it couldn't touch the heat of guilt burning in his chest. "I'm sorry," he whispered. "I'm so sorry, Grandma." If he hadn't stopped for that woman, if he'd just kept collecting cans, if he'd ignored the Mercedes and focused on what mattered, his grandmother, he would have gotten the medication on time. She'd be home right now, safe, alive, awake. Instead, she was in a coma. Because of him. Because he tried to save a stranger. The nurse approached softly. "You should go home, honey. Get some rest. She'll be here tomorrow." "Will she wake up?" The nurse hesitated. "We're doing everything we can." That wasn't an answer. Leo slid down the wall and sat on the floor outside room 304. He pulled his knees to his chest, wrapped his arms around them, and let the tears come. He cried silently, his shoulders shaking. People walked past, doctors, nurses, other visitors, but no one stopped. In a hospital, tears were as common as heartbeats. His phone buzzed. A news notification, "Local teen saves woman from hot car." There was even a grainy photo from someone's phone, him pulling Clara from the Mercedes. A hero, they called him. He didn't feel like a hero. He felt like the boy who'd let his grandmother down, the boy who'd chosen a stranger over family, the boy who'd broken the one promise he'd ever made to always take care of her. "I'm sorry," he whispered again to the unconscious woman behind the glass. "I'm so sorry." The machines beeped their steady rhythm. His grandmother didn't answer. Leo didn't go home that night. He stayed in the hospital, curled up on a plastic chair in the ICU waiting room. Every hour, he'd get up and look through the window at his grandmother. She never moved. The machines kept breathing for her, her chest rising and falling with mechanical precision. Around midnight, a nurse brought him a blanket. "You can't sleep here," she said gently, but she didn't make him leave. Morning came gray and tired through the windows. Leo's neck ached from the awkward angle he'd slept at. His stomach was empty. He hadn't eaten since yesterday morning, but he didn't feel hungry, just hollow. At 7 a.m., a doctor approached, young, maybe early 30s, with kind eyes behind wire-rimmed glasses. Leo Thompson. Leo stood up quickly. Is she okay? Is Grandma? She's stable. That's the important thing right now. The doctor gestured for Leo to sit. I'm Dr. Patel. I've been overseeing your grandmother's care. When will she wake up? Dr. Patel's expression was carefully neutral. We're keeping her sedated while her heart recovers from the attack. The damage was significant. She missed a critical dose of her medication yesterday, which triggered the episode. The guilt crashed over Leo again, fresh and sharp. I tried, he said, his voice breaking. I tried to get it, but I couldn't. I'm not here to place blame, Leo. I'm here to discuss her care. Dr. Patel pulled out a tablet showing him charts and numbers that meant nothing to Leo. She'll need surgery. A triple bypass. It's expensive. How expensive? Without insurance, around $150. 000. The number was so large it didn't even feel real. Leo had $23 to his name. Might as well have said $1 million. We have insurance, Leo said quickly. Medicaid. That'll cover most of it, but there are still copays, medications, follow-up care. We're looking at several thousand out of pocket. Several thousand. Still impossible. I'll figure it out, Leo said. I'll work. Let's focus on her recovery first. One step at a time. Dr. Patel left. Leo sat back down, his head in his hands. His phone buzzed. A text from a number he didn't recognize. This is Officer Martinez. Wanted to give you an update. The woman you saved is awake. Clara Hartwell. She's asking about you. Leo stared at the message. Clara. So that was her name. Part of him wanted to delete the message, to pretend he'd never seen that car, never broken that window. If he could go back to yesterday morning and walk past that Mercedes without stopping, his grandmother would be fine. But he couldn't go back. Another text. She's in room 502 at Mercy. Same hospital as you. Leo looked toward the stairs. 5th floor. His grandmother was on 3rd. He shouldn't care about Clara Hartwell. She was the reason his life had fallen apart. But something pulled at him. Maybe the need to understand why. Why she'd been in that car. Why she'd had that teddy bear and that cake. Why she'd given up. Before he could talk himself out of it, Leo took the stairs to the 5th floor. The 5th floor was different from the ICU. Quieter. More expensive. Private rooms with real doors instead of curtains. Room 502 was at the end of the hall. Leo stood outside, his hand raised to knock, then hesitated. What was he even going to say? You ruined my life, thanks for asking. The door opened before he could decide. A man stood there. Mid-40s, expensive suit, rumpled like he'd slept in it. Dark circles under his eyes. He looked at Leo with confusion. Can I help you? I'm Leo. I think your wife wanted to see me. Recognition flickered across the man's face. You're the kid who pulled her out of the car. Yes, sir. The man Clara's husband Leo assumed studied him for a long moment. Then he stepped aside. She's awake, but she's not. She's not herself. Don't expect much. Leo entered the room. It was spacious, almost like a hotel room. A large window overlooked the city. A couch sat against one wall. Flowers covered every surface, clearly sent by people who cared. And in the hospital bed, propped up with pillows, sat Clara Hartwell. She looked different from yesterday. Her hair was clean, now pulled back. The red flush was gone from her face. An IV drip fed into her arm. She stared out the window, the pink teddy bear clutched in her lap. Clara, her husband said softly, the boy is here. Leo. Clara's eyes moved slowly from the window to Leo. They were empty. Not hostile, not grateful, just nothing. Hi, Leo said awkwardly. Clara looked at him for a long moment. Then in a voice barely above a whisper, you should have left me. The words hit Leo like a punch. Her husband closed his eyes, pain flashing across his face. Clara, don't, he started. I didn't want to be saved. She continued, still looking at Leo. I was ready. Ready for what? Leo heard himself ask. To go to sleep, to stop hurting. Her fingers tightened around the teddy bear. You had no right. You were dying. I know. The simple acknowledgement stunned Leo into silence. Clara's husband, Mark, his name was Mark, put a hand on his wife's shoulder. She didn't react. I should go, Leo said, but Clara spoke again. They told me you got in trouble. The police. Yeah. They thought I was stealing from your car. Were you? No, I was trying to save you. Why? The question hung in the air. Why? Such a simple word. Such an impossible answer. Because Leo struggled to find words. Because nobody should die alone like that. Clara's expression didn't change. People die alone all the time. Mark's jaw tightened. Clara, that's enough. Is it? This boy sacrificed his time, his freedom, probably money. He didn't have to save someone who didn't want saving. Don't you think he deserves honesty? Leo felt anger rising in his chest. You want honesty? Fine. My grandmother is in a coma 3 floors down because I couldn't get her medication in time. I couldn't get it because I was saving you. So, yeah, maybe you're right. Maybe I shouldn't have stopped. He turned to leave. Wait, Clara said. Leo stopped his hand on the door. Your grandmother. What happened? Heart attack. Severe. She needed medication by 3 o'clock. I didn't make it because the cops held me until after 5:30. The pharmacy was closed. Silence. Then, I'm sorry. Leo laughed bitterly. Sorry. Great. That helps a lot. How much does she need for treatment? What? The medical bills. How much? I don't know. Thousands. Why do you care? Clara finally showed emotion, a flicker of something in her eyes. Guilt, maybe. Because you're right. You shouldn't have stopped for me. And now someone else is paying the price. Mark stepped forward. We'll cover it. All of it. The surgery, the medications, whatever she needs. I don't want your charity, Leo said. It's not charity, Mark said firmly. It's what's right. You saved my wife's life. Let us help save your grandmother's. Leo wanted to refuse, wanted to tell them to keep their money, but pride wouldn't pay for a triple bypass. Pride wouldn't keep his grandmother alive. Fine, he said quietly. Thank you. Mark pulled out his phone. Give me your number. I'll have our lawyer contact the hospital, set up payment. Leo recited his number. Mark typed it in. I really am sorry, Clara said again. Her voice was still flat, emotionless, but there was something underneath now, the faintest crack in the ice. Leo looked at her, really looked at her, at the teddy bear in her arms, at the emptiness in her eyes, at the birthday cake that had melted yesterday in the heat. Who's Lily? He asked. Clara's breath caught. Mark's face went pale. That's enough, Mark said quickly. Leo, thank you for coming. We'll be in touch about the medical bills. It was clearly a dismissal. Leo nodded and left. As the door closed behind him, he heard it, a sound he wouldn't have believed Clara Hartwell capable of making. A sob, broken and raw and full of a pain so deep it had no bottom. And he heard Mark's voice, gentle and exhausted. It's okay, sweetheart. It's okay to cry. Leo walked back to the stairs, that sob echoing in his ears. He didn't understand what was happening. Didn't understand why a woman with everything money, a nice husband, a life, wanted to die in a hot car holding a child's toy. But he knew pain when he heard it. And Clara Hartwell was drowning in it. Leo spent the next 3 days in a fog. Morning at the hospital, evening in the waiting room. The nurses stopped asking him to leave. Mark Hartwell handled everything. The bills were paid, surgery scheduled. Leo should have felt grateful, but he just felt numb. On the 4th day, Dr. Patel found him in the waiting room. We're reducing the sedation today. See if she can breathe on her own. Leo's heart jumped. She's waking up. Hopefully. But prepare yourself. There may be complications, brain damage, memory issues. We won't know until we try. But there's a chance. There's always a chance. Leo watched through the window as they removed the breathing tube. His grandmother's chest stuttered, then found its rhythm. Weak but steady. Her eyes fluttered open. The nurse waved him in. 5 minutes. Leo entered slowly. The room smelled like disinfectant and medicine. Grandma. Her eyes found his, cloudy with medication, but aware. Leo, she whispered. Her voice was rough, damaged from the tube. I'm here. I'm right here. What happened? You had a heart attack, but you're okay now. You're going to be okay. She tried to lift her hand. Leo caught it gently. Her skin was paper thin and cold. The medicine, she said. I know. I'm so sorry I didn't get it in time. Not your fault. It is. I got distracted. There was this woman in a car and I heard. A weak smile touched her lips. The nurse told me, you saved someone's life and almost lost yours. Hush. She squeezed his hand with what little strength she had. I'm proud of you. Tears burned Leo's eyes. How can you be proud I failed you? No, you showed who you are. A good person with a kind heart. She coughed, wincing. Like your mother. Leo froze. His grandmother never talked about his mother. Mom wasn't kind. She left. She was young, scared, made mistakes. Another labored breath. But she had a good heart. Like you. Grandma, don't listen. Her grip tightened. When I'm gone, don't let this world make you hard. Keep being the boy who stops, who helps, even when it costs you. It almost cost me you. Worth it. Always worth it to be good. The nurse appeared in the doorway. Time's up, sweetheart. His grandmother's eyes were already closing, exhausted. I love you, Grandma. Love you, my good boy. That evening, Leo couldn't stay in the waiting room. The walls were closing in. He needed air, needed to move. He found himself on the 5th floor. His feet carried him to room 502 without thinking. The door was open. Inside, voices argued in low, tense tones. You can't keep doing this to yourself, Mark was saying. I'm not doing anything. You're not eating. Barely sleeping. Just sitting there, holding that bear. Don't talk about Lily's bear like that. Clara, I miss her too, every day. But she's gone. She's been gone for 2 years, and you're letting it kill you. Maybe I want it to. Long silence. You don't mean that, Mark said finally. Don't I give me one good reason to keep going? One thing worth living for? Me. Us. The life we built together. We built it for her. For Lily. I know. She was supposed to start kindergarten this year. Clara's voice cracked, and instead we picked out a casket. A tiny casket for our tiny girl. Leo stood frozen in the hallway. This was too private, too painful. I know all of it. I live with it too, Mark said. But I'm trying because I thought we'd hold on together. Instead, you're leaving me. Every day a little more. I didn't plan it. You just didn't care if you came back. That's worse, Clara. That's so much worse. Footsteps. Mark appeared in the doorway, face wet with tears. He saw Leo and stopped. How long have you been standing there? I'm sorry. I was just... It's fine. Mark wiped his eyes roughly. You should talk to her. Maybe she'll listen to someone who's not me. He walked away, shoulders shaking. Leo stood uncertainly. He should leave, but something pulled him forward. He knocked softly. Clara looked up. She'd been crying. The teddy bear sat beside her. Can I come in? Clara shrugged. Leo entered, standing awkwardly near the door. I didn't mean to eavesdrop. Thin walls. Silence. Your grandmother, Clara said finally. Is she better? She woke up today. Talked a little. That's good. More silence. Who's Lily? Leo asked. Clara's hand moved to the teddy bear. My daughter. Where is she? Dead. Flat. Matter of fact. Car accident. 2 years ago. She was 3. Leo felt the air leave the room. I'm sorry. Everyone's sorry. Sorry doesn't bring her back. The cake in your car. It was for her birthday. She would have been 5 yesterday. Clara looked at him. I went to the park where we used to feed the ducks, her favorite place. Bought a cake saying happy birthday, took sleeping pills. I just wanted to sleep, to dream about her. And if I didn't wake up, she paused. That would have been okay too. But your husband, Mark, is strong. He'd survive. He already lost Lily. One more loss won't break him. That's not true. Isn't it? You heard him. He's functioning. Working, paying bills, living. He doesn't need me. He needs you alive. Clara laughed bitterly. Alive? I've been dead for 2 years, Leo. My heart just hasn't stopped yet. Leo thought about his grandmother, how she'd raised him when his parents left, worked double shifts, never complained, never gave up. My parents abandoned me when I was 7, he said quietly. Clara looked at him with interest. Just left one day. Didn't come back. My grandma found me the next day alone. She took me in, even though she was struggling. I'm sorry. You said that doesn't help. A flicker of respect crossed Clara's face. My grandma could have given up too, could have said it was too hard, but she didn't. She fought every day. For me. Leo's voice grew stronger. And now she's fighting to live because I need her, the same way your husband needs you. It's not the same. Why not? Because Lily was 3. She had her whole life ahead of her. Clara's composure cracked. She should be starting school, making friends, learning to read. Instead, she's in the ground because some drunk driver ran a red light. And that's horrible. But killing yourself doesn't change it. No, but it ends the pain. Does it, or does it just pass the pain to everyone else? Clara stared at him. Tears ran down her face. You don't understand, she whispered. You're right. I can't imagine losing a child, but I know what it's like to lose someone who didn't have to be lost. Leo thought of his parents. And I know what it's like to be left behind, wondering if you weren't worth staying for. Mark doesn't think that. Doesn't he? You heard him. You're choosing to leave. Every day. Clara looked down at the teddy bear. Fresh tears fell onto its pink fur. I don't know how to be okay. I don't know how to wake up every morning and not think about her, not miss her, not hate the world for taking her away. Maybe you don't have to be okay. Maybe you just have to be alive. That's not enough. It's a start." Clara was quiet for a long moment. Outside, the sun was setting, orange and purple painting the sky. She loved sunsets, Clara said softly. Lily. She'd stand at the window and point at all the colors, pink, orange, purple. She knew all of them. Leo walked to the window. "Tell me about her," he said. "What?" "Lily. What was she like?" Clara's expression shifted, surprise, then hunger. When had anyone last asked her to talk about Lily? She was stubborn, strong-willed. If she didn't want to wear shoes, there was no forcing her. A tiny smile appeared. She loved animals, wanted to pet every dog, and she sang constantly, made up songs about everything. This is the going down the stairs song. This is the eating breakfast song. The smile grew. For just a moment, Clara looked less like a ghost and more like a mother. "She sounds amazing," Leo said. "She was." The smile faded. "And then she wasn't. And I don't know how to be a mother to a dead child." "You can't be her mother anymore, but you can remember her. Keep her alive in here." Leo tapped his chest. "Not in a grave." Clara looked at him. This 17-year-old kid who'd broken her car window saved her life and was now saying exactly what she needed to hear. "How did you get so wise?" "I'm not wise. I'm just a kid who knows what it's like to be left behind. And I'm asking you not to do that to your husband." Clara closed her eyes. More tears? "It hurts so much." "I know. Every day, every breath. I know. I don't think it'll ever stop." "Maybe it won't, but maybe it'll get different, softer. Maybe one day you'll think about her and smile before you cry." Clara opened her eyes. She looked at the teddy bear. Then the sunset. Then Leo. "Okay," she said quietly. "Okay? I'll try. To stay. To be alive." It wasn't a promise. It wasn't certainty. But it was something. And something was better than nothing. 1 week later, Leo's grandmother had her surgery. It went well. Better than expected, actually. Dr. Patel said her heart was responding to treatment, that with proper medication and rest, she could make a full recovery. Leo cried in relief in the hospital bathroom where no one could see. He visited her twice a day, morning and evening. In between, he went back to collecting cans, trying to scrape together money for the prescriptions insurance wouldn't fully cover. He didn't see Clara again. Sometimes he'd walk past the 5th floor, wonder how she was doing, but he never stopped, until the night he ran into her. It was late, almost 11. Leo had been sitting with his grandmother until she fell asleep, then wandered down to the 1st floor vending machine for water. The hallway was mostly empty, just the soft beep of monitors and the squeak of nurses' shoes on linoleum. He was heading back to the stairs when he saw her. Clara sat in a wheelchair at the end of the hall, facing a large window that looked out over the city. She wore a hospital gown and a robe. The pink teddy bear sat in her lap. She wasn't moving, just staring out at the lights. Leo hesitated. He should keep walking, leave her alone. But something about the way she sat there so still, so isolated, made him stop. He walked over. "Hey," he said softly. Clara didn't turn. "Hi. You okay?" "No." Her voice was flat. "But I'm alive. Isn't that what you wanted?" There was an edge to her words. Not hostile exactly, but not friendly either. Leo sat down on a nearby bench. "How long have you been down here?" "I don't know. An hour maybe." "Your husband know you're wandering around." "Mark went home. He has work tomorrow." They sat in silence. Outside the window, cars moved like slow rivers of light through the streets. "My grandmother woke up," Leo said, "after the surgery. She's going to be okay." "Good. She asked about you, actually. About the woman I saved. I told her you were getting better." Clara's hand tightened on the teddy bear. "Did you tell her I didn't want to be saved?" "No." "Why not?" "Because it doesn't matter what you wanted. You're alive. That's what counts." Clara finally turned to look at him. Her eyes were red-rimmed, exhausted. "Is it? What? Being alive. Is that really all that counts?" Leo felt frustration rising. "Yeah, it is. Because dead people don't get second chances. They don't get to change their minds. They're just gone." "That sounds peaceful." "It sounds like giving up." "Maybe I want to give up." Clara's voice rose. "Maybe I'm tired of fighting, tired of pretending everything's going to be okay when it never will be." "Then stop pretending." Leo stood up, his own voice getting louder. "Stop pretending and actually do something about it." "I tried. That's what the car was. That's what the pills were." "No, that was you running away. That's not the same as trying." A nurse appeared at the end of the hall. Excuse me, you need to keep it down. Sorry, Leo said, but he didn't sit back down. Clara wheeled her chair around to face him fully. You have no idea what you're talking about, don't I? You think you're the only person who's ever lost someone who's ever hurt. I lost my child, and I almost lost my grandmother because I was too busy saving someone who didn't even want to be saved. The words hung between them, sharp and cutting. Clara's expression shifted. The anger drained away, replaced by something else. Shame, maybe, or realization. You're still angry about that, she said quietly. Of course I'm still angry. Leo's hands clenched into fists. My grandmother almost died because of you. She's in this hospital right now, recovering from surgery because I couldn't get her medication in time. All because I stopped to help you. I didn't ask you to. I know, but I did it anyway, because that's what people do. They help each other, even when it's hard, even when it costs them. Leo's voice cracked, and you just sit there with your expensive room and your husband who loves you and all your money, and you want to throw it all away, while my grandma fights every day just to survive on nothing. He was breathing hard now, his chest heaving. Tears blurred his vision. Do you know what she said to me? Leo continued. After the surgery, she said she was proud of me for saving you, proud that I stopped to help someone in need. She almost died, and she's proud of me for the choice that nearly killed her. Clara's face crumpled. So yeah, I'm angry, Leo said. I'm angry that you're wasting the life I fought so hard to save. I'm angry that you have everything, and you don't want it. I'm angry that my grandma has nothing and fights for every breath while you just give up. I'm not, Clara started. You are. You're sitting here in the middle of the night with a dead kid's toy staring out a window like you're waiting for permission to disappear. Leo's voice dropped, became fierce. Well, you don't get permission. You don't get to quit. Not after what it cost. What it cost you, you mean? What it cost everyone, me, my grandma, your husband, everyone who cares about you. Maybe they shouldn't, Clara shouted back. Maybe everyone would be better off if I was gone. That's bullshit, and you know it. The nurse appeared again. I'm going to have to ask you both to. It's fine, Clara said, her voice suddenly tired. He's leaving. No, I'm not, Leo said. Not until you hear me. Clara looked up at him. Then talk. You're not in pain because you're weak. You're in pain because you loved someone, because Lily mattered, because she was real and wonderful, and losing her broke something in you that can't be fixed. Leo's voice softened. But that brokenness doesn't mean you're worthless. It means you're human. Clara's hands shook on the teddy bear. And I know, Leo continued, I know it hurts. I know waking up every morning and remembering she's gone feels impossible. But you know what? You wake up anyway. Every single day you wake up. That's not weakness. That's strength. It doesn't feel like strength. It never does. But it is. Leo sat back down closer this time. My grandma works 3 jobs just to keep us fed. She's 72 years old with a bad heart and arthritis, and she still gets up at 5 in the morning because we need money. You think that feels strong to her? No. She's exhausted and scared and probably wants to quit every single day. But she doesn't, Clara said quietly. But she doesn't. Because she loves me. Because I matter to her. The same way you matter to your husband. Clara was crying now. Not the silent tears from before, but real sobs that shook her whole body. I don't know how to live without her, she choked out. Lily was my whole world. Every decision I made, every plan, it was all for her. And now there's just nothing. Just emptiness where she used to be. Leo didn't have an answer for that. He was 17. He didn't know how to fix a mother's broken heart. So instead, he did something simple. He reached out and took Clara's hand. She gripped it like a lifeline, her sobs growing harder. The teddy bear fell from her lap to the floor. Neither of them picked it up. I miss her so much, Clara wept. I miss her so much, it feels like dying. I know. I don't want to feel this anymore. I know. But I don't want to hurt Mark either. Or you. Or anyone. Then don't. Clara looked up at him through her tears. How? One day at a time. 1 hour if you have to. Just keep going. Keep breathing. And maybe eventually it'll hurt less. You promise? No, Leo said honestly. I can't promise that. But I can promise you're not alone. And I can promise that giving up isn't the answer. Clara cried for a long time. Leo sat with her, holding her hand, saying nothing. Sometimes there were no words. Sometimes presence was enough. Eventually her sobs quieted to hiccups, then to shaky breaths. I need to call Mark, she said. Yeah. I need to apologize, to try. She looked at Leo. Will you help me back to my room? Of course. Leo picked up the teddy bear from the floor and placed it in Clara's lap. Then he wheeled her back to the 5th floor, to room 502. As they reached her door, Clara spoke again. Thank you. For what? For not letting me disappear. She smiled weakly. And for yelling at me. I think I needed that. Anytime you need yelling at, I'm your guy. Clara actually laughed. It was small and broken, but it was real. She wheeled herself into the room. Leo heard her pick up the phone, heard her say, Mark, it's me. Can you come back? I need you. Leo walked away, leaving her to make peace with her husband. As he headed back to the 3rd floor, back to his grandmother, he felt something shift in his chest. The anger was still there, but smaller now. Manageable. Maybe Clara would be okay. Maybe she wouldn't. But at least she was trying. And sometimes trying was enough. 3 days passed. Leo's grandmother grew stronger each day. The doctors said she could go home by the end of the week. She'd need rest medication and regular checkups, but she was going to survive. Leo spent every free moment with her. They didn't talk about the car or Clara or any of it. They just sat together sometimes in silence, sometimes with his grandmother telling stories from when Leo's mother was young. She was stubborn like you, Grandma said one afternoon. Wanted to save every stray cat in the neighborhood. What happened to her? Leo asked. It was the first time he'd asked directly. Why did she really leave? His grandmother was quiet for a long moment. She was young, 19 when she had you. Your father was 20. They weren't ready. So they just gave up? No, they ran away. From responsibility, from hardship, from themselves. She took Leo's hand. But you didn't give up, even when it was hard, even when it cost you. You stayed. I didn't have a choice. Everyone has a choice, sweetheart. You chose to be better than they were. On the 4th day, Leo was walking down the hall when he saw Clara. She wasn't in a wheelchair anymore. She was walking slowly, carefully, with a physical therapist beside her. Her hair was brushed. She wore real clothes instead of a hospital gown. She looked different. Not happy, but not hollow either. Their eyes met across the hallway. Clara smiled. Leo smiled back. The physical therapist guided her into another room. But that brief moment, that connection stayed with Leo. She was trying. Actually trying. That evening, there was a knock on his grandmother's hospital room door. A nurse poked her head in. Leo, someone's here to see you. Clara stood in the hallway. She held a folder in her hands. Can we talk? She asked. Leo looked at his grandmother, who nodded encouragingly. He stepped into the hall, closing the door behind him. How are you? He asked. Better. A little. Mark and I. We're talking. Really talking. For the first time in 2 years. Clara's fingers fidgeted with the folder. We started seeing a grief counselor. Together. That's good. It's hard, but it's good. She looked down at the folder, then back up at him. I wanted to thank you. Properly. And to apologize. You don't have to. I do. What you said the other night about me wasting the life you saved. You were right. I was being selfish. I was so focused on my own pain that I didn't see how my actions affected everyone else. Clara, let me finish. She took a breath. I can't promise I'll be okay. I can't promise the grief will go away or that I'll stop missing Lily. But I can promise to try, to actually live instead of just existing. That's all anyone can ask. Clara opened the folder and pulled out a piece of paper. I used to be an architect. Before Lily died, I designed buildings, parks, community spaces. But after, I couldn't. Every time I tried to draw, I'd just see her, see the life we'd planned. She showed Leo the paper. It was a sketch, beautiful, detailed, a community center with large windows and open spaces. Yesterday, for the first time in 2 years, I drew something, Clara said quietly, and instead of just seeing what I lost, I saw what could be built. Leo looked at the drawing. It's beautiful. It's not finished. I'm out of practice. My lines are shaky. My perspective is off. Clara paused. I was thinking, maybe I could use some help. An assistant. Someone who's not afraid to tell me when I'm being stupid. Leo looked up from the drawing. What? I want to create something for Lily. A memorial that's not just stone and grief. Something alive. A community center for kids who need it. Art classes, after-school programs, a safe place. Her eyes met his. And I want you to help me design it. I don't know anything about architecture. You can learn. I'll teach you. Clara's voice was earnest now. You need money for your grandmother's care. I need a purpose, a reason to keep going. This could help both of us. I'm still in high school, so you'll work part-time, afternoons, weekends, whatever you can manage." She pulled out another paper, a contract. "I'm not asking you to do this for free. I'll pay you. And when you graduate, if you want to study architecture, I'll help with that too." Leo stared at the contract, at the number listed for his hourly wage. It was more than he'd make collecting cans for a month. "Why me?" he asked. Clara smiled, a real smile this time. "Because you're the only person who's been honest with me in 2 years. Because you saved my life even though it cost you. Because you remind me that there's still goodness in the world." She paused. "And because I think Lily would have liked you." Leo felt his throat tighten. "I'd need to ask my grandma," he said. "Of course. Take your time. Think about it." Clara put the papers back in the folder. "The offer stands whenever you're ready." She turned to leave, then stopped. "Leo, one more thing." "Yeah, I'm going back to therapy. Real therapy, not just one session. And Mark and I are taking a grief management course together." She looked down at her hands. "I'm also donating Lily's toys to the children's hospital, except for the bear. I'm keeping the bear." "That sounds healthy." "My therapist says holding on to one thing is okay, as long as I'm not holding on to everything." Clara met his eyes. "I'm learning the difference between remembering and being trapped. It's hard, but I'm trying. That's all that matters." After Clara left, Leo went back into his grandmother's room. She was sitting up, looking more alert than she had in days. "What did she want?" Grandma asked. Leo told her everything. About Clara's offer, the community center, the job. His grandmother listened carefully, then nodded. "What do you want to do?" "I don't know. Is it weird to work for someone I yelled at in a hospital hallway?" Grandma laughed, a real laugh that made Leo's heart soar. "Sweetheart, sometimes the best relationships start with honesty, even angry honesty. But what if I'm not good at it? What if I can't help? Then you'll learn. That's what life is, learning as you go." She reached for his hand. "But I think you could be good at this. You have a good eye. And more importantly, you have a good heart. You're biased." "I'm right." She squeezed his hand. "Take the job, Leo. Help her build something beautiful from all that pain. I think you both need it." That night, Leo couldn't sleep. He kept thinking about the drawing, about Clara's words, about the possibility of creating something meaningful. Around midnight, he got up and walked down to the 5th floor. Clara's room was dark except for a small lamp. Through the window, he could see her sitting up in bed, sketching in a notebook. Mark was asleep on the couch, one hand dangling down, like he'd fallen asleep holding hers. Leo knocked softly. Clara looked up surprised. She came to the door. "Leo, it's late. Is everything okay?" "I'll do it," he said. "The job. I want to help." Clara's face transformed. For the first time since he'd met her, she looked truly happy. "Really? Really? My grandma said yes. And I think this could be good. For both of us." Clara opened the door wider. "Come in for a minute. I want to show you something." Leo entered quietly, trying not to wake Mark. Clara led him to a shelf where several photographs sat. She picked up one, a little girl with dark curls and a gap-toothed smile holding a paintbrush. "This is Lily," Clara said softly. She loved to paint, made the messiest, most wonderful artwork. Leo looked at the photo. The little girl's eyes sparkled with mischief and joy. She was beautiful. She was everything. Clara set the photo down gently. "The community center, I want it to have an art room with big windows and lots of light, a place where kids can make messes and create freely the way Lily did. We can do that." Clara picked up her notebook and showed him more sketches, ideas for the building, rough and unfinished, but full of potential. "It won't be easy," she said. "I'm rusty, and you're new to this. We'll make mistakes. That's okay. And some days I might struggle. The grief doesn't just disappear because I'm trying harder." "I know." Clara looked at him, really looked at him. This boy who'd broken her car window and somehow broken through her walls too. "Thank you," she said, "for not giving up on me, even when I'd given up on myself. You did the same for my grandma. Paid her medical bills, helped her get the surgery. We're even." "No," Clara said firmly. "We're not even. You saved my life. What I'm doing is just trying to deserve that gift." Mark stirred on the couch, mumbling in his sleep. Clara smiled at him fondly. "He's been sleeping here every night," she said. "Won't leave. I kept telling him to go home, get real rest, but he refuses. He loves you." "I know. I'm starting to remember that love isn't just for the people who are easy to love. It's especially for the ones who are struggling. She looked back at Leo. Like what your grandmother does for you. Like what you did for a stranger in a parking lot. Leo smiled. So when do we start? How about Monday after school? I'll be there. As Leo left, he felt something he hadn't felt in weeks. Hope. Not the fragile, desperate hope that things might get better, but the solid, grounded hope that came from taking action, from choosing to build instead of break. Behind him, Clara returned to her sketches, and for the first time in 2 years, she drew with purpose. Not to escape the past, but to create a future. 2 weeks later, Leo's grandmother came home. Their apartment was small, just 2 rooms, a tiny kitchen, and a bathroom that barely fit a person. But it was clean, and it was theirs. Mrs. Chen from next door had stocked their fridge. The hospital social worker had arranged for a home health aide to check in twice a week. Mark Hartwell had quietly paid 6 months of their rent in advance. I didn't ask for charity, Leo's grandmother said when she found out. It's not charity, Grandma. It's gratitude. She humphed but didn't argue further. Leo set her up in the only bedroom she'd insisted he take it before, but he refused now. He'd sleep on the couch. She needed the real bed for recovery. Stubborn boy, she muttered, but she smiled. On Monday afternoon, Leo took the bus across town to Clara's architecture firm. It was in a sleek building downtown, all glass and steel. He felt out of place in his worn jeans and backpack. The receptionist gave him a visitor's badge and directed him to the 5th floor. Clara's office was corner suite with massive windows overlooking the city. Design sketches covered every wall. A large drafting table sat in the center surrounded by monitors and drawing tools. Clara stood at the table focused on a blueprint. She looked different here, professional, confident. Her hair was pulled back. She wore glasses he hadn't seen before. "Leo," she said, looking up. "Perfect timing. Come here." He approached the table. The blueprint showed a bird's eye view of a building. "This is what I've been working on since we talked. The Lilly Center." Clara pointed to different sections. "Main entrance here. Art rooms on the 2nd floor with northern light, best for painting. Classrooms here, here, and here. A gymnasium in the back. And this," she indicated a large open space, "is a memorial garden. Native plants, benches, a small pond. A place for quiet reflection." Leo studied the drawings. Even to his untrained eye, they were impressive. "It's amazing." "It's a start. Now, I need your help refining it. Tell me, what would a kid actually want in a community center?" Leo thought about his own childhood, the places he'd wished existed when he was young and struggling. "A library," he said. "Not just books, but a quiet place to do homework. Somewhere warm in winter." Clara made a note. "What else?" "Computers, internet access. Not everyone has that at home." "Good. What about the art rooms?" "Big sinks and storage for supplies. And maybe a gallery wall so kids can display their work." Clara smiled. "Perfect. See, you're already thinking like a designer." They worked for 3 hours. Clara taught him the basics, how to read blueprints, how to think about space and flow, how a building could serve its community. "Architecture isn't just about making things look pretty," she explained. "It's about solving problems, creating spaces where people can thrive. Like therapy, but with buildings." Clara laughed. "Exactly like that." As the afternoon turned to evening, they took a break. Clara ordered pizza. Leo tried to pay, but she waved him off. "So how's your grandmother?" Clara asked. "Good. Stronger every day. She's already talking about going back to work, but the doctor said not for another month." "And you, how are you managing?" Leo shrugged. "I'm okay. Tired, but okay. School going all right. I'm catching up. Missed a lot when Grandma was in the hospital, but my teachers are working with me." Clara nodded, then hesitated. "Can I ask you something personal?" "Sure." "Your parents. Do you ever hear from them?" "No. I don't even know where they are." "Do you want to?" Leo considered this. Once he would have said yes immediately, but now, "I don't know. Part of me wants answers, wants to know why we weren't enough. But another part of me doesn't care anymore. They made their choice. I have Grandma. That's enough." "That's very mature." "Or very damaged." Leo smiled wryly. "Maybe both. Trauma does. That makes you grow up fast." Clara looked out the window at the city below. "Mark and I started couples therapy, and I'm seeing a grief counselor twice a week." "How's it going?" "Hard. Really hard. We had a session yesterday where I just cried the entire hour. Couldn't even speak." She turned back to him. "But I went. I showed up. That's progress." "It is." I also joined a support group for parents who've lost children. Clara's voice wavered slightly. There are more of us than I realized. We meet every Thursday, share stories, cry together. It helps knowing I'm not alone. That's good. Mark's doing better too. He admitted he'd been bottling everything up trying to be strong for me. Now we're learning to grieve together instead of separately. She paused. We're even talking about the future. Not replacing Lily, we could never do that. But maybe, eventually, fostering kids who need homes, giving them the love Lily can't receive anymore. Leo felt his chest tighten. Lily would like that. I think so too. Over the following weeks, a routine developed. Leo would go to school, visit his grandmother, then head to Clara's office. They'd work on the Lily Center designs, with Clara teaching him the technical skills and Leo providing the perspective of someone who'd actually needed these services. What about a food pantry? Leo suggested one day. For families who need it. Clara added it to the plans. And a shower facility for homeless kids who are trying to go to school but have nowhere to clean up. That went in too. Maybe counseling services, free ones. Clara nodded. We'll partner with local therapists, sliding scale fees. The building was becoming more than just a memorial. It was becoming a lifeline. One afternoon, Mark stopped by the office. Leo had met him a few times now, but they'd never really talked. Leo, good to see you, Mark said, shaking his hand. Clara tells me you're a natural at this. She's being generous. No, I'm not, Clara interjected. You have an instinct for what people need. That's rare. Mark looked at the blueprints. This is incredible, Clara, really. We're a team. She smiled at Leo. I couldn't do this without him. After Mark left, Clara showed Leo something new, a fundraising plan. The center will cost about $2 million to build and staff for the first year. Mark and I are donating the first $1 million, but we need community support for the rest. $2 million. Leo felt dizzy. It's a lot, but it's worth it. Clara pulled up a presentation on her computer. We're launching a campaign next month. Local businesses grants individual donors. I'm even reaching out to some architecture firms I used to work with. What if we don't raise enough? Then we'll start smaller and expand. But we'll make it happen, Leo. I promise you that. 6 weeks into working together, Clara brought Leo to an empty lot on the east side of town. This is it, she said. The location. The lot was large, weedy, bordered by a chain-link fence. But beyond the neglect, Leo could see the potential. Near a bus line, close to schools, in a neighborhood that desperately needed services. It's perfect, he said. Clara smiled. Want to see something? She pulled out her tablet and opened an app. Suddenly, a 3D rendering of the Lily Center appeared superimposed over the empty lot through augmented reality. Leo could see it, the building they'd designed, standing tall and welcoming. The memorial garden, the big windows of the art rooms, kids playing in the courtyard. Wow, he breathed. That's our future, Clara said softly. That's what we're building. She turned to him, her eyes bright. I never thought I'd feel this way again. Excited about tomorrow. Eager to create. Hopeful. Her voice broke slightly. Thank you for giving that back to me. You're doing the work, Clara. I'm just helping. No, you're doing more than that. You're showing me how to live with the grief instead of being consumed by it. How to honor Lily by building something that would make her proud. They stood together, looking at the empty lot that would soon be filled with purpose. When does construction start? Leo asked. If fundraising goes well next spring. And until then, we keep designing, keep planning, keep moving forward. Clara looked at him. One day at a time, right? One day at a time. As they left the lot, Leo felt something shift inside him. For weeks, he'd been so focused on the past, on what happened in that parking lot, on his grandmother's heart attack, on Clara's pain. But now he was thinking about the future, about what they could build together, about how something beautiful could emerge from so much suffering. 3 years later, Leo stood in front of Oakwood Community College, staring at the acceptance letter in his hands. Architecture program, full scholarship, start date fall semester. He'd done it. His grandmother sat on a bench nearby, beaming. She'd recovered fully from her heart attack, though she tired more easily now. She'd cut back to 2 jobs instead of 3, accepting Mark's ongoing financial help with grace. I'm so proud of you, she said for the 100th time. I know, Grandma. My grandson, the architect. I'm not an architect yet, just a student. You'll be the best architect this city has ever seen. Leo laughed and helped her up. They walked slowly to the bus stop, her arm linked through his. He was taller now, broader, 20 years old, and finally starting to look like a man instead of a boy. His phone buzzed. A text from Clara. Big day tomorrow. Don't be late. Tomorrow. The opening of the Lilly Center. After 3 years of planning, fundraising, construction delays, and endless paperwork, it was finally happening. Leo had been part of every step. He'd helped refine the designs, attended community meetings, even worked on the construction crew during summer breaks. The center had become his passion project too. That evening, he took the bus across town to the site. The building stood complete now, beautiful and welcoming. Large windows reflected the sunset. The memorial garden bloomed with native flowers. A playground sat to one side, equipment gleaming and new. Clara was inside doing final walkthroughs with Mark. She saw Leo through the window and waved him in. "What do you think?" she asked. Leo walked through the space slowly. The art room with its north-facing windows and wall of supplies. The library with comfortable chairs and computer stations. The counseling offices. The food pantry. The community kitchen where kids could learn to cook. "It's perfect," he said. "We did good, didn't we?" "You did good. I just helped." Clara shook her head. "We did this together, Leo. This building exists because you refused to let me give up, because you showed me that grief could be transformed into purpose." Mark joined them. "The caterers will be here at 9 tomorrow. Press arrives at 10. Ribbon cutting at 11. "Are you nervous?" Leo asked Clara. "Terrified," she admitted. "This is the biggest thing I've done since Lily." "She'd be proud." Clara's eyes welled up, but she was smiling. "I think so too." They walked to the memorial garden together. In the center stood a bronze statue, a little girl with curly hair releasing a butterfly from her hands. The plaque read, "Lily Marie Hartwell, forever 3, forever loved, forever inspiring others to fly." Clara touched the statue gently. "I come here every week," she said. "Talk to her. Tell her about the kids who've been helped, the meals served, the art created, the lives changed." "What do you think she'd say?" Leo asked. "She'd probably ask if there's a slide." Clara laughed through her tears. She loved slides. "We have 3 of them in the playground," Mark pointed out. Then she'd approve. The 3 of them sat on a bench in the garden as the sun set, painting the sky in purples and golds. "I've been thinking," Clara said, "about expanding, opening a second location in a different part of the city." "Really?" Leo asked. "Not for a few years. We need to establish this one first. But yes, I want to build more centers, help more kids." She looked at Leo. "And I want you to be my partner, officially, when you graduate." "Clara, I'm still a student. You're brilliant, and you understand what these communities need better than any architect I know." She pulled out a folded paper from her pocket. "I had my lawyer draw this up. Partnership agreement, equal shares, equal say in design decisions. What do you think?" Leo stared at the document. "I don't know what to say." "Say you'll think about it." I will. Thank you." Mark stood up, stretching. "I'm going to check the tech setup one more time. Make sure the presentation works." After he left, Clara and Leo sat in comfortable silence. "How's your grandmother really doing?" Clara asked. "Good, really good. She's even talking about retiring in a few years." "That's wonderful." "She wants to travel, see the ocean. She's never seen the ocean." "Then she should go." "I'll take her, when I save enough." Clara looked at him. "Leo, you know you don't have to worry about money anymore, right between the salary I pay you and the scholarship." "I know. It's just hard to believe sometimes. 3 years ago, I was collecting cans just to buy medicine. Now I'm going to college, working as an architect's assistant. It feels like a dream." "It's not a dream. It's what you earned." Clara's voice was firm. "You saved my life, changed my life. This is just the universe balancing the scales." "I don't believe in the universe balancing scales." Neither did I. But here we are. The sun sank below the horizon, leaving them in twilight. "Can I ask you something?" Leo said. "Are you happy, really happy?" Clara considered this carefully. "I'm not the same person I was before Lily died. I never will be. There's still a hole in my heart that nothing can fill." She paused. "But I'm learning to live with the hole, to build around it. And yes, there are moments like seeing this center complete, or watching Mark smile again, or working with you where I feel something close to happiness." "That's good. Better than good. 3 years ago, I didn't think I'd live to see this day. Now I'm planning for years ahead. That's progress. Mark seems happier too. We're better. We talk now. Actually talk. About Lily, about our fears, about the future. Clara smiled. We're even discussing fostering. Not to replace Lily, never that, but to give other kids a home the way your grandmother gave you one. You'd be amazing foster parents. We'll see. One step at a time, she stood up. Come on, let me show you something. Clara led him to a room on the second floor. It was locked. She pulled out a key. Inside was the most beautiful art studio Leo had ever seen. Easels, paints, clay, every supply imaginable. And on the wall, framed artwork, children's paintings, wild and colorful and free. Our first art class graduated last week, Clara explained. These kids came in not knowing how to hold a paintbrush. Now, look at what they created. Leo studied the paintings. Birds, flowers, abstract shapes, portraits, each one unique and wonderful. This is what it's all about, Clara said softly, giving kids the space to express themselves, to process their own pain through color and form, to create beauty, even when the world feels ugly. One painting caught Leo's eye, a house with an impossibly large sun and a family of stick figures holding hands. That's Marcus, Clara said, 8 years old. His mom is in prison. His dad's gone. He lives with his grandmother like you did. He painted this after our third session, said it's the family he wishes he had. Did you tell him he already has a family that his grandmother counts? I did, and he cried. Happy tears. Clara touched the frame gently. He reminds me of you at that age, scared but hopeful, struggling but not broken. I was pretty broken, but not shattered. There's a difference. She turned to him. You know what I learned from you, Leo, that saving someone's life isn't just about pulling them from a hot car. It's about showing up, listening, refusing to let them disappear. You taught me that too. Then we taught each other. They locked up the studio and headed downstairs. Get some sleep, Clara said. Big day tomorrow. You too. As Leo left the building, he looked back at it one more time. The Lily Center, a place of hope built on the foundation of grief. He thought about that day 3 years ago, breaking that car window, making a choice that changed everything. He'd almost lost his grandmother, almost gave up on Clara, almost decided that being kind was too expensive, but he hadn't. And look what had grown from that decision. The next morning dawned bright and clear. By 10 a.m., the parking lot was full. News vans, community members, local politicians, children, and their families. Leo arrived early, wearing the suit Clara had insisted on buying him. He felt uncomfortable and stiff, but his grandmother had teared up when she saw him. So handsome, she'd said. Your mother would be proud. You're my mother, Leo had replied, the only one that counts. Now standing in the crowd watching Clara prepare to cut the ribbon, Leo felt overwhelming gratitude. Clara stood at the podium mark beside her. She looked strong, confident. The woman who'd wanted to die in a hot car was gone. This was someone who'd rebuilt herself piece by piece. Thank you all for coming, Clara began. 3 years ago, I was in a very dark place. I'd lost my daughter Lily, and I'd lost myself. I was ready to give up on everything. Her voice was steady clear. But a 17-year-old boy smashed my car window and dragged me into the light, literally and figuratively. People laughed softly. That boy showed me that even in our darkest moments, there are people who will fight for us, who will refuse to let us disappear, who will remind us that we matter. Clara looked directly at Leo. Leo Thompson saved my life, but more than that, he gave my life purpose again. This center exists because of his vision, his passion, his unwavering belief that we could transform grief into something beautiful. She gestured for him to join her. Leo's grandmother pushed him forward gently. Go on. Reluctantly, Leo walked to the podium. The crowd applauded. I can't take credit for this, he said into the microphone. This is all Clara, her design, her dream, her daughter's legacy. Our dream, Clara corrected. Our design. She held up a large pair of ceremonial scissors. The Lily Center is dedicated to every child who needs a safe place, every family struggling to survive, every person who feels invisible. Clara's voice grew stronger. We see you. We're here for you. And we promise you matter. Together, Clara and Leo cut the ribbon. The crowd erupted in applause. Doors opened. People streamed inside. Kids ran to the playground. Parents explored the facilities. The smell of fresh paint and new beginnings filled the air. Leo's grandmother found him in the crowd, hugging him tight. Look at what you built, she whispered. We built it together, all of us. Clara gave tours, shaking hands, accepting congratulations. But every so often she'd find the memorial garden and stand quietly by Lily's statue. Leo found her there during a quiet moment. You okay? he asked. I'm wondering what she'd think, if she'd understand why I'm doing this. She'd know you love her, that this is your way of keeping her alive. Clara nodded. Mark and I are officially starting the foster process next month. We got approved last week. That's amazing. Scary, but good scary. She smiled. We'll never replace Lily, but we can honor her by loving other kids who need it. She'd like that. I hope so. Clara looked at the building, at the children playing, at the families exploring. I hope she knows that her short life created all of this, that even in loss there can be legacy. As the day wound down and the crowd thinned, Mark found Clara and Leo in the garden. They want us for a photo, he said. The newspaper. The three of them posed by Lily's statue, Clara, Mark, and Leo, the family that grief had created. The photographer snapped the picture. Beautiful, he said. This'll make a great story. After he left, they sat together on the bench. 3 years, Mark said, from rock bottom to this. It wasn't easy, Clara said. Nothing worth doing is. Leo looked at them, this couple who'd almost fallen apart, but chose to hold on, who'd turned their tragedy into something that would help hundreds of people. Thank you, he said quietly. For what? Clara asked. For not giving up. For showing me that broken things can be rebuilt, that endings can become beginnings. Clara took his hand. Mark took his other hand, and his grandmother joining them completed the circle. To Lily, Clara said, who brought us all together in the strangest, most painful, most beautiful way. To Lily, they echoed. And in that moment in that garden, built from grief, surrounded by people who'd saved each other in 1,000 small ways, Leo understood something profound. Pain didn't have to be the end dot. It could be the beginning of something extraordinary.
Join us to share meaningful stories by hitting the like and subscribe buttons. Don't forget to turn on the notification bell to start your day with profound lessons and heartfelt empathy.